I'm going to embarrass myself by introducing you, okay? There you go. You know, no one travels this state like Chuck Grassley. And I was at an event and I was talking to a candidate who has really traveled around a lot. It was actually former Senator Rick Santorum. And I said, hey, you know, you've been to like 60-some counties. He's like, you know, I told Chuck Grassley that, and he said he only got 37 or 27 more to go. Senator Grassley does a great job of going to every community. And, you know, when you talk to folks of all ages, they really appreciate everything that you do and the opportunity to actually, it's almost like the caucuses themselves. People expect to look the candidates in the eye, to ask them questions. Senator Grassley allows his constituents to show up in every county so they can look him in the eye and talk about the issues that they're passionate about. The other thing that I want to embarrass myself by is Chuck Grassley here is a little bit better on social technology than I was for the longest time. So here I run a website, but Senator Grassley had an active Twitter account for quite a while, and the media loves it, and they follow him, and they talk about him from, yeah. And my favorite one was he was working on the fence line, and you burnt your leg a little bit. I just love to follow you on Twitter. I love that you embrace new technology, and I think it's only appropriate that you're here today at the iowarepublican.com soapbox powered by Google. So share us your thoughts on the straw poll, what's going on in Washington. The microphone is yours, Senator.
Thank you very much, Craig, for the hard work that you put in to encouraging participation in the process of representative government. Social media, what you do on your publications, what you do to encourage participation is very, very important, because those of us elected, we're only one half of the process of representative government. You folks that we serve are the other one half of the process of representative government. And if you're going to have representative government, you got to have dialogue between those of us elected and those that we serve, and you're part of a new trend in participation and participatory democracy, and obviously I once again thank you for what you've done to promote that. We're here to win November the 2nd, 2012. And we're going to win because this president's policies, economic, job-wise, fiscal-wise, are a failure. They're a failure. And I know that this is going to be a peaceful group of people here today, but the large outturn is representative of the outrage at the grassroots of America about these discredited policies. A policy that, if I could measure it for you, and I'm not trying to justify anything over the last 50 years, but I want to use it as a benchmark for how bad things have gotten in the last 2 years. For about 50 years, the national debt was continuously about 35% of gross national product. Within 2 years, at the end of this year, it'll be 72%, and we're on a path to go to 90%, the same path that Greece and Ireland and Portugal and Spain are taking down the whole continent of Europe if they don't get things turned around. And the outrage at America comes from the standpoint that we're not going to let it happen in America, because in America we believe in better. We believe in better. And what is most disturbing about this presidency is, with all the speeches and with all the news conferences, everybody else is being blamed for what's wrong. I want a president who is going to accept responsibility for where we are. And I know And I know that the candidates we have here that you're going to be voting on, that those are people that know that when they get to be president, one of them gets to be president of the United States, that the buck stops here. And they learned that from 70 years ago when Harry Truman said, the buck stops here in the Oval Office, not on President Bush, or not on some S&P, or not on some Wall Street, or something going on in Europe. And I don't know how many other excuses you have, but how many excuses should you have as President of the United States? You shouldn't have any more excuses than what Harry Truman had, that the buck stops here. And we're... And all of our candidates know where the buck stops. And we're going to be over this hurdle come November 2nd, 2012, and we're going to put this country on a path of turning around. And in the meantime, I'm not going to put it off till 2012 to get things turned around. We've got to turn things around right now. And so it gives me an opportunity to express the people that worked so hard in 2010, not only to re-elect me, but around the entire country of the United States. And they're referred to as Tea Party. They're Tea Party people. And I know when things don't get done fast enough, the way the grassroots of America want them done, and I can appreciate that because I'm there and as frustrated as well. But let me assure you, if elections are supposed to have consequences, the last election did have a consequence, and that consequence is that yet before Christmas, 2 months after the election last time, there was still on this president's mind that whatever he said should have been spent in his State of the Union message the year before still had to be spent, and there could be no compromise whatsoever. But in the final analysis, that carried on into about 2 or 3 months of this year when the president said he had to have a clean increase in the debt ceiling, and he wasn't going to get that. And then he said, well, he had to have a tax increase, and he wasn't going to get that. Finally, what was passed, you have this environment, even though this environment isn't satisfactory to the people that made the difference in 2010 and are going to continue to make an even bigger difference in 2012. In Washington today, it's no longer a debate between the two political parties of whether we ought to increase spending a little bit or a great deal. What it is now, every political party knows you got to cut, 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 and you could have heard it on Fox. And you could have heard it on Fox News this morning from the Democratic National Chairman, the Congresswoman from Florida, when she said we got to cut, cut, cut. So here we are. You wonder whether elections have consequences. The debate in Washington is moving in our favor. Enough yet? No. But with your push from the grassroots of America and elections having consequences and the big differences that can be made in the next year as we elected a new president, more Republican senators, we're going to get this country turned around because this country is great and we're leaders of the world and we are an exceptional nation and we intend to continue to be an exceptional nation. Thank you.